Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. Whether you're joining us live or watching a recording, it's great to have you watching. My name is Matt Fowler. I'm the Franchise Recruitment Manager here at ServiceMaster, and I support all prospective franchise partners to understand which of our 5 brands is the right one for them to join. Merry Maids is the global leader in domestic cleaning with over 40 years experience and more than 500 global locations. And I'm delighted that we've got Tom Jackson here today to talk about his story. Our model is built on regular reoccurring revenue, with 90% of that revenue coming from customers having weekly, fortnightly or 4-weekly cleans. We're also the only UK domestic cleaning brand to align with the Alzheimer's Society and their understanding dementia training for all of our maids, which all helps to provide a strong customer demand and provides a fantastic opportunity for our customers and franchise partners alike. So as I said, today I'm joined by Tom Jackson. Tom has over 20 years experience as a Merry Maids franchise partner. He had the highest Merry Maids franchise partner revenue of more than £770,000 in 2023 and was awarded Merry Maids Franchise Partner of the Year for 2023 at our Spring Forward conference. So I think to open it up, Tom, can you give us a little bit of a snapshot of your life before you became a Merry Maids franchise partner?
I suppose I'd always managed other people's businesses prior to becoming a Merry Maids owner, which is great in some respects because it's a weekly salary, monthly salary. But I did feel that by doing that, it was working evenings, it was working weekends. I think the main thing I got out of it was that no matter how much effort you put in working for somebody else, you don't get any extra benefits out of it. Where I think by running your own business, particularly a franchise where you've got the support of a head office or a franchise centre, that you have that support, and by putting the extra effort in, you get the results out at the end.
Yeah, perfect. And that experience that you had in the sort of employment, were you in a particular field? Was there something you were doing? Were you in domestic cleaning?
No, not at all. I was in gaming for a while, and then I was a customer service manager for a car dealership. So something sort of totally different, really, in terms of where it was, the industry. But I suppose I'd got management backgrounds that helped me develop this business. And I suppose I always knew with Merry Maids that I was never going to be cleaning. I always wanted a managed business where our staff would go out, they would obviously do the work, do the cleaning, and obviously I'd be able to manage those teams of cleaners and manage the customers.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, actually. So this is very much a management franchise, as your lived experience shows. So when we're looking for franchise partners, we're not necessarily looking for people that have clean experience, they've been in domestic cleaning at all, and your prime example of that coming from something very different in its background. But being able to take that management skill, managing people, and bringing that into a business, as you say, where you can see the full benefit of it. When you were in that employed environment then, and you were looking at other opportunities, what is it that particularly drove you to move into a franchise business?
I think for me, yes, you can start your own business. Yes, you can go out and it can be Tom's Cleaning. But I just felt that the franchise model is a sort of halfway house between working for somebody and taking a salary, and this is you do what you're told to do, or being your own boss and this is your business alone. And I thought that being a franchise was a sort of a good halfway house, that you get the support both from the network, from the other franchisees, and both from yourselves at ServiceMaster. You get that support from everybody, really, and it's the best of both worlds. So it's your business. So if you want to take a day off, you can take a day off. If you're happy with the business and you push it forward, it's down to you to do that. But I thought there was still that benefit and the backup of a head office sort of thing behind you,
having a function behind you.
And then marketing. I mean, the marketing department here is fantastic. And if that was Tom's Cleaning, I wouldn't be able to get anywhere near the sort of benefit that we get from being part of a franchise network. Again, with Alzheimer's, they wouldn't partner at all with Tom's Cleaning. It's the brands that push that forward.
So you mentioned that a couple of times there about the benefits that you've seen of being part of a network versus setting up Tom's Cleaning, as you've named it. Before you were deciding whether franchising was the right route for you, what sort of research were you undertaking? What type of things were you doing? I appreciate it was 20 years ago. You've got to cast your mind back.
Yeah. So I suppose I did go to obviously some of the road shows. There was one at NEC, one in Manchester. I'm sure there's one in London. So I suppose I did that research to look what was out there. I suppose I decided on Merry Maids because I felt it was the right fit for what I wanted out of life, and it was that work-life balance. In the previous jobs that I'd had, it was evenings, it was weekends, some of the bank holidays, whereas I think with Merry Maids, typically the staff are out working 9 till 3:30, Monday to Friday. There's no bank holidays, there's no weekends. So I thought the Merry Maids fit was absolutely fantastic in terms of sort of my growing family. My son's now 21. And he was going to nursery at 7 o'clock in the morning, coming back at 7 o'clock at night, and I knew if I didn't do something, that wouldn't change.
Yeah. And was it that lifestyle factor alongside the wanting to see the fruits of your labour and the efforts that you were putting in that drove your decision to move into franchising?
Yeah, it was. And I think, again, I did look at other franchisors, and I just felt that the Merry Maids brand and the Merry Maid product fitted what I wanted out of my life and sort of my growing family. As I said, it was Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, but you also had the backup of ServiceMaster behind you to sort of push it forward.
Yeah, perfect. Be interesting just to hear, you mentioned obviously about the support that you were looking for when you were deciding on a franchise brand. How much support do you get as a franchise partner, and how has that changed as you've become more established and your business has become more profitable?
I think the biggest benefit currently at sort of my size of business is the marketing department. The Google, the Alzheimer's Society, some of the initiatives they come up with, I wouldn't do those myself if it was just my cleaning business. So I actually think the marketing department is fantastic at doing something like that. I think the making sure that you're doing things correctly as well in terms of a business is very good within Merry Maids. That there's obviously things that you need to follow, things to make sure that you're doing correctly. How things changed, I think, as initial franchisee, there's a massive amount of more support when you're like a brand new franchisee, both from head office or ServiceMaster and also the other franchisees. We've got a lady that started up at Mercy, that started a franchise recently, and I still probably talk to her probably once every couple of weeks, and she's been down to visit us a number of times. So I think now it's different, that maybe now we're imparting our knowledge to other people.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting point you make there, Tom, because that's one of the things that I talk about quite regularly when I'm talking to prospective franchise partners, is about the value of having that network of others that have already trodden that path that you're about to go and tread. It's all well and good having the franchisor as your support function, but actually having a really cohesive and supportive network of peers is also really, really powerful. So the fact that you took value from that and you're now able to pass your knowledge forward to other new entrants to the Merry Maids brand, I think is a really, really powerful thing. And one thing that probably, when you're first looking at an opportunity, you perhaps don't appreciate. You'll have come from being part of a team, being part of a business. If you've come from an employed capacity where you're used to having that around you, and you probably take it for granted. And it's not until you make that step into self-employment and you're owning your own business, where if that's not there from the rest of the network, then you can feel quite lonely. And you haven't suddenly got that sounding board of people to talk to and that knowledge, which it's great to hear that you've got that in Merry Maids and that we were able to provide that for anyone that's thinking about an opportunity. You've touched a couple of times on the marketing piece and the value that you've been able to take from that. Just talk a little bit about what support and guidance they've been able to provide to you.
So at the moment we have like regular marketing meetings that will, I think it's usually once a month, that'll be like an online meeting to talk through, we're going through this process at the moment, this is how we might be able to increased marketing on Google. This might be like a leaflet drops.
Yep.
This might be how we're marketing in this business that's working. So I suppose it's like a monthly regular meetings that does make you focus on your business a little bit more, rather than just head down and keep going.
Yeah.
It is, that taking time out probably once a month with the people from marketing, and having that meeting means you step up and think, actually, how can I improve? How can I get my business to the next level?
I guess it's that piece about taking the expertise of somebody that's got knowledge in an area where perhaps you haven't quite got the same level of experience, but also so you're hearing best practice and you're hearing sort of how things should be done. But I guess there's a degree of accountability as well on those calls where you're offering up the type of activity that you're going to take forward and the things that you're going to do. And because you kind of aired that to everyone, there's a degree of, okay, I've got to follow through on it now, which, the adverse effect of that is that it has the positive knock-on effect for business. So.
And again, I suppose I am quite competitive, so I will have my own personal targets that we want to achieve. As you said, we're the biggest Merry Maids in the UK at the moment, and we want to keep it that way. And we've got a couple of other businesses that are growing, and me and my team, we want to keep that distance, and we want to keep pushing our own business forward. But I suppose the biggest benefit, again, of a franchise network is we're not in competition with Gina in Wakefield or Nikki in Blackpool. They're quite happy to share things that have worked for them, and it's best practice across the network. It works across the board because we're not going to steal their customers. We all want to grow at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, one of the other sort of common questions that I get when I'm talking to somebody for the first time in those early conversations is about, where's my business going to come from? How am I going to market it? How am I going to take on those first few clients? When you were first starting your business, can you think back to how you found your first few clients and just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think the first few clients were leaflets. Again, it was a leaflet drop, which I think is generally how the sort of a brand new franchisee sort of starts. It'll be a leaflet drop. It's getting your name onto Google, but I think 20 years ago it was really leaflets. So it's about we took on 2 members of staff. When we were out there pounding the streets, dropping leaflets, trying to get our first customer, second customer, and sort of build it from there. I think the customers now come from various ways. It's Google, local marketing. Word of mouth is really good because obviously after 20 years of cleaning people's houses, there's a lot of people out there recommending us. But initially it was leaflets.
Yeah, perfect. And I think that is that we have that marketing support function. So for anyone that is new coming into the network, they will get time with the marketing manager for Merry Maids, and they will take that time and they'll plan out what their marketing journey is going to look like over those first 12 months, and then help them and be that support to put that into action. So that ranges everything from leaflets, as you said, through to digital assets that can be used on social media. There's a full support network of marketing material, and it's interesting to hear that that good old-fashioned leaflet through the letterbox was how you got started, and as you said, like over 20 years, word of mouth being now a really powerful piece. You do a good job by one person, they tell another person, and so on and so forth. Thinking again back to when you first started your business, how quickly were you able to build up that client base? Obviously it starts with the one client through the leaf through the door, and then kind of scales from there. Can you think back to how quickly you grew business?
Probably about the first year. We probably 6 months. I suppose it depends in terms of what your base costs are. So we'd got an office, which if you're starting off, you might decide not to have an office or work out of an office, but we had an office. So probably we had enough customers within the first year to start making profit.
Okay, so profitable inside 12 months.
So profitable inside the first 12 months. But again, I just, probably at 18 months, we then took on our second license. And obviously then it grew by, a big chunk. And so I suppose we've just kept growing and growing since then, really. But it's, I suppose, profitability is all really based on your cost base. If you've got an office, obviously you need to cover the costs of things like that in the initial place.
And I think as you touched on, obviously you're still ambitious, you still want to continue to grow your business, and you want to continue. So there's a degree of reinvestment in that business as well, whether that's purchasing new licenses, whether it's purchasing other brands from within the ServiceMaster stable, as you have done, and continue to put that profitability to work to fund the bigger picture. You mentioned sort of early in sort of pre-joining this call about what your typical day looks like now. But would you just mind sharing sort of what your day looks like as a franchise partner, and perhaps how that's changed over the last sort of 5 years or so as your business has?
Yeah, I think I think initially, as if it's a virgin franchise, if it's a brand new franchise, a lot of your day is actually going out then dropping leaflets, trying to get new business and really trying to promote your business and train your staff, I suppose, in the first instance, to make sure that they're achieving the standards. I would look at Merry Maids as a Marks and Spencers of cleaning. It's a top level brand, and it's a top level clean. And obviously the customers expect a top level clean for what they're paying. So it's making sure that your staff are achieving that. I said initially when you first start, it is just about getting out there, trying to build your business, trying to grow your business. I suppose my day 5 years ago was, if I'm honest, it was probably too easy.
Okay.
And we got our current Merry Maids maybe 5 years ago was at a stage where I just needed another challenge to add to the current businesses that I had. And I was probably working from home maybe 3 days a week, go in an office a couple of days a week. And I said I just needed that challenge. So we've grown since then. And probably added another 200k, 250k to our turnover. More recently, picked up another office. So now it is more about managing the office managers now, and making sure that they're achieving, both the profit that we should be looking for, but the growth that we're looking for as well.
So I think that's a really key point that you made, Adam. So Merry Maids opportunities is really scalable, isn't it? In the fact you can start with one territory, you can start with one location, and within that territory and location you can scale that out to be whatever you want it to be. But equally, if you want further geographical presence, then you can take up other licenses, whether that's resales of existing franchise partners that are looking to exit the network, or virgin territories and white space that's on the map at the moment, and you can start to build this out to be whatever works for you. And it's great to hear that you've done that. You've added these territories on, and it's become a bit of a puzzle piece where you start to slot pieces. It is.
So I mean, our most recent acquisition is Stafford. I don't live anywhere near Stafford, but I've got a manager that will look after that business and a supervisor over there. And I'll probably go over once a week, once every couple of weeks to manage the business, and the rest of it is just remote. So you don't necessarily have to even live in the area that you purchase it in. You have a team that will run that business for you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're prepared to invest in the structure and have that local management presence and the oversight of what's going on, then absolutely you can be off territory. So to align with the ambition, and again I know we talked about this prior to joining this live, but what are your main focuses then for the rest of 2024 for your Merry Maids business?
I think my first focus is obviously increased turnover, and I suppose I think you alluded to it. We did 775 I think last year. I want to be the first Merry Maids to $1 million in the UK, so that's really when my next goal is at. I suppose I've got to make sure it's done profitably. So it's not about just buying in new sort of leads or new customers. It's trying to maintain that sort of customer base. I think it is just trying to keep growing. But I said my target's got to be £1 million.
Yeah, absolutely, and I have every confidence that you'll get there with the resource that you've got and the structure you've got, and just that ambition that you've also got. So looking back over your sort of 20 plus years then experience now as a business owner versus as an employee, what do you believe are the key attributes that a prospective franchise partner should have or be prepared to develop as they move forward into that journey?
probably calm. Again, things crop up, whether it's a member of staff that's not well, whether it's customer holidays, staff holidays. I think you've just got to look at the what's going wrong, what's happening, and just be quite calm and look and sort of plan it.
Yeah.
So I think you've got to be able to have an overview of your business and not get caught in the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
And really sort of it's got to be an overview. I think you've got to really management, team management. I think that's a really good sort of skill to have, because I think as you grow, your team's going to grow, and it's suddenly not big. If you're a virgin area, it might be you and 2 cleaners. It's you and 4 cleaners, you and 20 cleaners, and at that stage, you might need an area supervisor, you might need an office manager. So it's not just about managing 1 or 2 cleaners, it's how you move that forward really, and develop the team around you.
Yeah, perfect. The one of the other common questions that comes up when I'm talking to prospectives is around the sales and business development skill that you need to sort of hone as you start to get into it. It's well and good putting the leaflet through the door to make the phone ring, but then what happens between phone ringing and customer onboarding? How comfortable were you in the first instance with going out to people, doing the quoting and getting them to become customers?
If honest, because of the background or the industry that I've been in, then you're up on stage and you're talking to people from a stage and things like that. And I've, my wife says I can talk for England anyway. So actually going out to customers for me was reasonably easy. I do think though that some of the franchisees, it is difficult to go into customers' homes and talk about Merry Maids, and again, we're not, it's not a cheap clean.
Yep.
We are a premium service, and people will pay a premium price for a premium service.
Yep.
And it's about being comfortable in terms of this is what we offer, this is what we do, we're good at what we do, and it's value for money. And I think sometimes people who are new into the business, that's very difficult to sell your price to a particular customer when there's so many cheap cleans, Mrs. Mops out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that, so for anyone that's watching, for any franchise partners that come into the network, we have an academy that all of our franchise partners go through in the first instance. It's a 2-week academy that all franchise partners go through, and that's helping the franchise partner come to understand the Merry Maids brand and help to be able to position that. So when you are sat in front of a prospective customer and you're having that conversation around what it's going to cost for you to be able to undertake the cleans that they require, you feel comfortable, you feel confident, and can best present yourself and the service that you're going to provide for them, and then how to onboard them. So we cover that off as you go through that 2-week academy. But I think some of it as well is ultimately just getting out there and doing it. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you get to talk to people, present your product, present your solution to their needs. And there are going to be times you get no's, right? I'm sure there's not every time that you guys go out to quote, even now, where people take you up on it.
Yeah.
It's just about being able to roll with.
Yeah. But I think you're right. But again, I suppose as part of the onboarding process, that sort of 2 weeks of sort of where they come and learn about Merry Maids. Like recently, we've had Mercy from Bedford that's came over to Dudley, and she's been with us for 3 or 4 days. To go through the office, to go through out cleaning with her team. But she's been off with me doing quotes. Because again, I think that is a big part of learning how to sort of push your brand forward and get that yes from your customers or your potential customers.
Yeah, absolutely. So for you, what impact did you say being a franchise partner with a now profitable and successful business has enabled you to do outside of work? I know we just talked that you're not a great fan of going on holiday and leaving the business, but what is it that it's been enabled you to do sort of lifestyle-wise, that things that you couldn't do if you were still employed?
So I think if you're employed, it's 4 weeks holiday or whatever it is, you get that amount of holiday a year. You have to book it when you can book it. You have to fit in with someone else. I suppose as an owner of a business, You can choose when you go on holiday. You can choose, actually, I want Friday off, and you don't go in and work Friday.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a bit of a workaholic, as you said, so my wife is quite happy to go on holidays without me, and that's great. So I do, but I suppose I'm very competitive, and I love the business. I think the business is great. But it's just whether you want to start late, finish early. They're obviously, because it's your business in essence, it just gives you that flexibility.
Yeah.
And I said, when I started the business, my son was 9 months old, and we were dropping him at nursery at 7 in the morning, picking him up at 7 at night, and we knew we had to change something.
Yeah.
So I think by changing and doing this, then it was fantastic for us. And my wife, probably after about 5 years, sort of joined the business as well. So she works in the business as well.
Yeah.
Probably in a reduced manner now, because we're obviously at a size where we've got that support in the offices to help me, but she still works in the business now.
Yeah, so a real sort of family entity.
Yeah.
Perfect. So if you could roll that clock back now then to the beginning of your franchisee journey, what would be the one piece of advice that you received or you wish that you'd received that you could impart on somebody now that's thinking about?
This is easy. Again, I'll say if any of the new franchisees come to us, it's think big.
Okay.
Always think big. Don't think it's just you and 2 members of staff. Whatever process or whatever you're doing now, don't think it's you and just this little business. It's not. It's going to grow to 20 staff, 40 staff, 60 staff, 120 staff. It's going to grow. So think big. Have lots of ambition. There's a league table. I love the league table. I think there's a lot of competitiveness between us and the other franchisees.
Yeah.
It's definitely, if I was saying to somebody new, think big.
Yeah, perfect. So as Tom mentioned there, the marketing team and brand leader create a regular league table. So each franchise partner gets to see the success of each other's business, and there's always that healthy competition to want to be climbing that table. And that just goes to echo the level of ambition that we're looking for when we're looking to award licenses to prospective franchise partners. We are really selective about who we award licenses to. It's not just a case of being able to award a license to anyone just because they have the means to be able to invest. We're very protective about that network, as Tom mentioned, about having a network that's going to support each other for the benefit of those that are coming in, and then those that come in adding value to the network as well. So everyone continues to benefit from that strength. So we are really selective around who we bring into the network, and also again that representation of the brand. We're not we are a premium service product, and therefore we want franchise partners that buy into that, they believe in that, and that's what they want to be representing when they're out having their maids clean their customers' homes. So on that note, we're looking to award 6 franchise licenses in 2024. So following this live, we will be sharing out the recording along with contact details for you if you are interested in having a further conversation about how you can be one of those 6 prospective franchise partners that we look to award a license to in 2024. Now, please do use the chat function should you have any questions as we come to the end of this live. We will start to answer those questions. We have had some questions sent in already, so I will just look to go through those now and either answer them or I may put the questions to Tom to answer. But if you do have any other questions, then please do drop them into the chat box, and we'll answer those as we get to the end. So one of the questions that I've had in here from Tom is what support do I get? And I think yourself, Tom, have sort of highlighted that in terms of the level of support you get, both from the existing network of franchise partners, but also from the marketing support. Could you just touch on maybe a little bit about what operational support you've benefited from as a franchise partner?
I think obviously we've got Vicky as a brand manager, so she'll bring in sort of these are processes that we need to do, but I think a lot of it is sort of other franchisees. You'll find something that works. I've been up to Inverness, I've been to Blackpool, I've been to visit other sites, other Merry Maids, and again they've been down to my business, and I think it is about taking best practice from other businesses and introducing that into yours.
Yeah.
But I think Vicky as a brand manager, a brand leader, again, she's brought a lot of items in, and again, it's just trying to bring those best practices in so that every business is doing the same.
So from that support perspective, we have a brand leader. So we have Vicky, who's out in the field. She's the go-to person for our franchise partners to liaise with around operations, and then we have the marketing support function. So the marketing support function being there to help drive that business development and help to put the brand in front of as many people as they possibly can within the territory, and help that phone ring, help those leads find you that need those cleaning services for you to be able to go out and quote. Tom has also asked another question here about what happens when I want to sell my business. Now, with the so one of the misconceptions about a franchise is that it's not saleable. I'm going to put all of my time and effort into this. Yes, I'm going to collect an income as I go along, but it's got no value at the end of it. That's not a fact. So one of the values of being part of a franchise brand is that it does have a saleable value at the end of it. And again, it's one of those conversations that I have with people very early on in their journey, is about thinking of this as a business asset in the same way as you might think of a buy-to-let property as an asset that's going to provide you with an income, but it has a value at the end. Your franchise business can be very much the same thing. So as you build up the value of that business over time, as you build up the level of revenue and you have your costs under control and you're left with your net value, there are people that will want to buy that business from you in the future. What value that business has in the future is very much a negotiation, and that's something that there are people that can support with that on. But there is definitely a value to be had for franchise businesses. So there is absolutely the ability to be able to sell that. Another question here that's come in from Tim is, can I leave the business to my children? So again, that is another option that you could look to do. So if you didn't want to sell your business and you wanted to hold on to the business as an asset within the family, then that's possible. I'm not sure if that's part of your plans. Whether your son, I know your son already has business interests, but that's absolutely something that can be done. And in some of our other brands, we have the franchise partner stepping more into a senior capacity, and they're bringing their children in into the business so they can learn the business, with the idea that it becomes a legacy transition and they continue to hold the business as a family asset over time. So,
but I think there's also the possibility of having a manager. Again, with my level of business, part of one of my options is that I get managers in. They run the business when I'm retired, and I still gain an income from that business if I'm retired.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great point, Tom. So yeah, there's absolutely the ability there for you to be able to keep hold of the business, have a management team that pretty much look after your day-to-day, and you still collect an income from that, whether that's for a salary, whether it's for a dividend, however you choose to structure that, but you can still take earnings from it, and it can effectively become your main pension pot or a secondary pension pot, or a third pension pot, whatever. But it can become a stream of income for you in the future, and you can continue to benefit from holding that. And then final question that I've got here that was sent in prior to the live is, I'm an expert in marketing. What's in it for me by becoming a franchisee? I think if you're an expert in marketing or any of the other fields that we've touched on, management, sales and business development, they're all key skills that you will utilise as you move forward as a franchise partner. Tom's touched on the fact that your team will grow. You'll go from being one or two cleaners in the first instance to suddenly becoming a team of cleaners as your business scales. So being able to manage those, recruit those, and also manage the just human nature that occurs from managing people is absolutely a value. From a marketing point of view, this is very much a sales and marketing business that just happens to do domestic cleaning. So if you've already got the experience in marketing or sales and development, then you will be sort of ahead of the curve on that side in terms of being able to promote your business, interact with your chosen client base, and then onboard them as clients for your business and see that grow as you go forward. So that's all of the questions that we had sent in prior to the live. So Tom, as we get to sort of closing points, if there was anybody watching this that's likes the idea of domestic cleaning, they like the idea of Merry Maids, any last piece of advice that you would put to them?
I suppose to me it's not just about domestic cleaning. To me it's more of a managed business.
Yes.
And you're right. 20 odd years ago I did look at lots of other businesses out there, lots of other investments, but I just felt that Merry Maids was the right fit in terms of work-life balance. And I think as you grow your business, I think you can move away from actually operating and to more of a managed business. So to me that it's not a man in a van, it is more of a managed business. It's where you can grow and grow and grow, and really the only ceiling is what you want out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really key point. So this is very much a managed business, as Thomas said. It's not about you doing the doing and doing the cleaning yourself. It's very much about instilling yourself as the manager in this franchise opportunity and building out the business around you, starting with the maids, and then as you obviously scale that business, other assets and resources within the business, whether that's supervisors, managers, or your own sales and marketing function, your own business development function, to help you continue to grow that. And the only limitation is you and your mindset, which I think comes back great to that piece about Think Big. And there's a great book, I don't know if you read that, called Think Big, but yeah, that whole process about setting your sights on the biggest objective you can, and then continue to work towards that on a day-by-day basis. So as I said, the recording of this will be shared. If there is anyone that's watching that would like to learn more, then please do reach out to us and make contact. More than happy to have conversations around Merry Maids and also the wider stable of brands that we have within ServiceMaster as a franchisor. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you've taken value from it, and thank you, Tom, for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.